Is there anything you want the fans to know or any last thing you want to say to them before we get to see this series tonight?
This is where the fun begins.
Hold on. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Can you see me?
Yes, we can.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Jedi Mike 7 Movie News Show. I'm your host, Jedi Mike 7, with my co-host, Jay King. Jay King, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm glad that all the tech issues are sorted and that we've escaped that timeline that, well, we don't know what the hell happened now, but we got a lot to talk about.
Yeah. There was a stream that was just pruned right before your eyes.
What stream?
Exactly. Yeah, guys, it's gonna be our review of Loki, season 2, episode 4, which left off on a major cliffhanger. Again, I've seen the first 2 episodes earlier before y'all, but now we are all caught up. So now we are all caught up, and just want to say, again, Loki is the GOAT. The TV show is the GOAT right now, aside from Gen V, which is killing everything right now, and Invincible next week. But yeah, aside from that, Loki's doing good. But yeah, this episode left off on a major cliffhanger. As you can see here, that we've gone through this arc that we'll be going through with Loki, and we're going to be recapping it a little bit later this live. But before we get into that, I just want to make sure you guys hit the subscribe button, comment, like, and share. Share it to your friends, share it to your family, everybody. Yeah, I'm having a little tummy ache right now, but I'm still going. The show still will go on. But yeah, Jay King, just wants to know, what was just your general thoughts of this episode?
I think this general episode can just be summed up with what my exact words were when I finished last week's this last week's episode was just simply know what the that basically sums it up. I was just shocked by this episode. Like you kept telling me, prepare for this episode. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna prepare myself, but I was like, I don't think any preparation could have prepared me for that, for all of that. Now, previously I said that episode 3 of this season was my favorite episode, but now it's my second favorite. This is now my favorite episode. like period of this series so far, like series wise. Even talking the last season, this is my favorite episode, and man, I'm curious to see where this goes from here. And again, I know a mid-season trailer came out today. I had not watched it. I don't want to see anything for these next two episodes. I want to go in blind. So I have not seen any other scenes other than the ones I know that haven't shown up yet in the series. But yeah, I am beyond excited for these last two episodes for this season. And again, a good thing that this is the first of what will be many continuing stories that are going to have multi-part seasons, now that they've confirmed that they're not going to just be doing one-shot seasons and be doing multiple seasons of already existing Disney Plus MCU shows. So it's first of many, and so far Loki is the thing that is keeping people's attention with the MCU. Other than some other stuff, this is the thing that's really keeping people's attention, and the thing that'll definitely be important later on down the line, especially this episode.
Yeah. Yeah, because I felt with this episode, there was a lot that again, I saw this all my camera, sorry y'all. I saw all of this, in one, just binging through these 4 episodes when I saw it. And I know, and I can imagine like I had to wait, once a week just for the next thing. But you guys had to wait about 4 weeks or so of you guys um going through this season and everything. But now we're all caught up. But again, everything
Mhm.
that's going on with this show, it goes back to, I know one of the showrunners from um uh one of the showrunners for Loki, who basically, we have no comments that are made by Martin Scorsese, talking about the definition of cinema, but the
Oh
craftsmanship of
yeah.
the show, and the way that the show is shot and everything, it's definitely just a testament in terms of the production, and the writing of the show and everything. Again, not just from the set designs, but actual shots and the cinematography of this episode. When you are doing complete, horrific horror shots of people being dismantled and everything, and seeing off screen deaths, but what you do with sound design and hearing these people dying slowly but painfully and gruesome, and also um shout out to this one right here. um
She is off the rails at this point. She is enjoying this carnage way too much.
yeah, so and shout out to I forgot what was the voice actress player,
Tara
um
Strong.
Tara Strong. Again, it's not just this bubbly, uh AI, artificial intelligence thing that we see. Compared to what we saw in Loki season 1, we only got a little bit of the dark side of Miss Minutes at the end of the last episode, like the season finale. But then with this show, you've now seen this for what she is, and now we
Mhm.
do probably see her demise. Now, whether we see her again or not, that will have to be explored, though. But because they did turn her off, though. But before we even get to that again, I just want to talk about just the weight of this show, and just in terms of how they ended off with it. Again, shout out to John the Majors with Victor Timely, and his performance through that. Yeah, I really was intrigued in terms of like when they made that decision of of was it a Victor time of killing him, or yeah.
Of basically spaghettiing him, as we should say.
Mhm. Right.
Yeah,
And
that was the moment my jaw dropped.
right, and you're seeing this like for what it is a very gruesome scene right here. Um, and I'm gonna make sure I get close up with that. Like, yeah, that is not,
Ribs exposed and everything.
yeah. So that's not no. Oh no, he just like at the time like no, he is dead.
Yeah, and
So
that's one of the two most gruesome deaths in this episode, or should I say, honestly, that I've seen in a while in the MCU as well. One of the two, and they were in this episode.
right, so they're pushing the barrier before we get rated R with Deadpool. Shout out Deadpool. But yeah, like there was a lot of things here. Again, like with the like in terms of MacGuffins, they're trying to close the uh, this problem that's going on within the TVA. But again, it's like left us with a lot of things to explore. Left a lot of us things to explore in terms of okay, what's next? Because now like there was no post credit scene because if I remember episode 4 of season 1, how it ended off where Loki they find the time lords or and find our timekeepers and find that they were just animatronics. Shout out to Five Nights at Freddy, by the way. And
Hmm.
basically they're just uh,
oh
in
yeah, that came out.
right. And they're basically they're just animatronics, whatever. And then Loki was basically saying, so who, then who, created TVA? And then all of a sudden Loki gets pruned. And the end credit scene of that was we saw 4 variants of Loki. But this one, episode 4, was usually in terms of Marvel's pacing of how they go with between episode 4, 5, and 6. Did you try to have a cliffhanger? They had no end credit scene, nothing. There was absolutely nothing, and I applaud them for that. I applaud them for again
Nope.
going, you know, again going through like everybody was trying to collaborate to finish this thing, and then but at the same time you also have the threat going on with Miss Minutes and Ravonna Renslayer and what the dude's name, the actor name,
Uh,
um,
Bradley or X9.
X, yeah, for X9. Yeah, there was a lot. There's a
Yeah.
lot to explore with that, and again, but I want to make it very clear. Like this is a part where we're saying like there's parts of the MCU where it's again back to originally where why we enjoy this the cinematic universe for what it is, but then and it's not that from previous forms of storytelling from the last couple of seasons of other Disney Plus shows kind of just like monotone. This is like, oh, what's going on, and I don't know what's next, right? So again, it's like that's to me, it's very exciting to see. And I want to just know, like saying we only got 2 episodes left. We got the Marvels, which is coming out next week, and so me and Jay King will be seeing that. And now well, it's basically things are slowly but surely are now starting to connect, and
Hmm.
that's why I'm like really enjoying the season and more than the previous, Disney Plus shows and everything. But Loki's been consistent. But I just want to ask, like, what was your standouts just in terms of this episode before we get to like, what you think's coming up?
Um. Oh well, standouts. I'll have to say there's just way too many moments to count. First one I'll say is the interaction between Victor Timely and OB and finding out exactly how they influence one another. Like Victor Timely created like influenced OB, and then OB made the TVA guidebook, which then would get to Victor. As I said, it's literally an Ouroboros, a snake eating its own tail. It's like which came first, we don't know, but the two of them work well with one another. Like that was one of my favorite moments of this past episode. Um, Another one would have to geez, again, there's a lot of moments in this. Another one would have to be the conversation between Loki and Sylvie in I call the Chamber of Pies now. Um, where they were talking like again, Loki was basically you this is pretty much prime Loki at this point. This is pretty much Loki. Like this is where Loki was at the end of Ragnarok, but having taken a sort of like a detour, like a different type of path, since again this isn't technically that Loki, but just seeing his progression of being like like it's all on us, we got to be the ones to change this place, protect the timeline, and do things better than what he who remains did, like we are gods kind of thing like that. I really much love that conversation as well. Other than that, just quick moments. First gruesome death, like the first death in this episode, that was just Jesus Christ, as well as Victor Timely's death. And I have to say, what else would be a good one? Oh, also how we come back full circle with the first episode where we see our current Loki prune episode 1 of season 2 Loki, and also the subversion of the subversion of everything, where we find out the person on the phone was Ouroboros the entire time trying to figure out where they were, and them turning off the magic in the place. so that way they could finally use their powers again in the TVA. Again, just a lot of good moments. That's just I can't count them all, but it's just like those are some of my standout moments. And then of course the ending where it looks like the entire TVA got vaporized. Like this episode just had too many good freaking moments, and I can't count. But those were some of my favorite moments. But I have to say, top favorite moment has to be yeah, just the ending, and then the interaction with Obi and no the okay, top two favorite moments: interaction between Obi and Victor, and Loki's speech to Sylvie. But it's just hard to choose because there's just way too many good moments in this episode. There's just way too many good moments in this episode. You muted.
Yeah, like for me, I felt again the many things we can talk about. I want to go talk about it's Halloween, the horror aspect of it. There's a lot of things with
Yeah,
filmmaking that can go
perfect
into
timing.
right. There's a lot of things with filmmaking that we can make in terms of decisions of like, hey, how are you going to do gruesome horror? Are you just trying to make the audience feel scared and terrified, or are you trying just to put some gore and actually visually get some in terms of exemplifying horror in a different way, through the naked eye, right? But I did say like, no, we know what's happening. The box is getting slower and slower, but then we're seeing people's reactions to what is happening. Even then, afterwards, when we see Hunter B-15 coming back, and then she just seeing the shock and awe of it all and everything, right? So that's where I'm like, that's to me again, that is what is filmmaking, where it's like, yes, you have visual effects, and you're seeing AI, enjoying, these, people being killed, but
Yeah,
also
but
you're seeing
we don't need to see it. Like we just like the reactions were enough. We didn't need to see like them getting smushed into the cube because the previous what was it episode 2 already established how powerful that technology is. We didn't need to see it. We just needed to see their faces when they saw what happened to all of them. And also it adds to the fact that they also added a little bit of like a sizzle and a little bit of like a dripping noise for like what is most likely their mangled bodies being drooped into the gutter underneath, which yeah, it paints a picture into your mind. You don't need to see it. You can already paint the picture just by everything they give you. Like
right.
it's in a sense where it's like, we would talk about show don't tell, but honestly, this worked in a good way.
Right. And it goes back into what again, like this series is about in terms of just pushing the boundaries with Marvel. But again, going back to what we love about Marvel is like, hey, they're doing the whole we set up, the whole concept of the box in previous episode. Now we get to see it's more grander scale and done in a more sinister way, even though it would then come from Loki, came from Renslayer. Now with them, I do want to go back to the conversation with Loki and Sylvie, because again, one I think I won't say a negative. I won't say it is a negative though, but I think they're going to be building up to that slowly. Is just basically the rebuilding of their relationship, because there was nothing of like recanting like, hey, we did kiss though.
Yeah,
And
they haven't discussed like they haven't really had a moment until now to talk since she pushed him through that door at the end of season 1.
right, but then it's like but it kind of gets to a point like, hey, you guys were ride or die, with each other, and then like the very institution that basically made me, run away my entire life as a child, then now it's like you're trying to protect it and save it, and now she's feeling that type of way now. But again, she's also changing, evolving too. But the whole point about it is that his response, like, no, we are gods, and we do have a responsibility, and we do have power, and now we just have to make sure that we're using it now, because yes, we're no, we have done bad things, doesn't mean that we're bad people. And again, as you can see, it's like anybody. This is again, it's just a slow redemption story from for Loki, because we know some form of another. We know that Thor 5 is in slowly like in development, whether Taika Waititi is coming back or not. But that has been confirmed by the show. Right. We do know that the the showrunners confirmed that we're building up to Loki and Thor being reunited. Now, how a form of that, how would that be? I don't know, but I think what they're doing is then it's gonna be really a big payoff because then also it's like the last, like, yes, we see Thor and is in the position where he is, but Loki, what we've seen him slowly come back to now to a point like, hey, I'm a changed man. And in a conversation, like when he went to Earth, like when you go back to the first Thor movie and the conversation they had, like how he was so adamant, was saying like,
Mm-hmm.
you've gotten soft and everything. Um, and this woman changed you and all stuff like that. But then later you realize, no, he's now not saying he's getting, he is getting soft, but like he realized, no, him being compassionate, him going through this journey, that make him weak, that made him stronger.
And
So,
now Loki has gone through that similar journey throughout these 2 seasons. Like he's gone through his own Thor movie one throughout his own show. Now he not which now makes him see why his brother wasn't weak. Like it
mhm.
shows him the opposite of what he couldn't understand back during Thor 1 and Avengers 1. Now he understands it.
Right, and it also goes to again just what the conversation that Odin had with them when they were kids, because he's saying that you know a great king, is not just someone that is always trying to look for a war, but they always must be ready for it. And
Mhm.
and again, I think that's just again testament to going back to the history that we all enjoy from Marvel. Again, like this has been almost over 10 years in the making now, and we're
Mhm.
seeing this like them to point that this scene is now having more significant weight now than ever because these both of these two characters are now changed and went through their own journeys now. But
Mhm.
uh, I want to go also to talk about uh, Ouroboros because again, Ouroboros has just been an amazing addition, to the show. Obi with Akihu Kwan, and again, I remember I told you about this. Is like, would it be the concept? What came first, the chicken or the egg? And the answer is both, right?
Yeah.
And like, now I did see some people because we did see Obi and what was the dude named the other
AC.
TVA Casey, right? They had that same interaction earlier, so it felt like okay, they kind of did this again with Victor Timely, which I'm rather like. If you're gonna do this part where you guys are geeking out of like getting the information from each other, you might as well just had this scene and not the one with Casey. But I don't know, it was just like because it's just like kind of like we already did that before that trope.
Mhm.
But yeah. And then we get to more of Mobius talking about his timeline in the prior to TVA, right? Which I think also is gonna which is set up if you actually see the mid-season trailer. But
Yeah, I
yeah.
didn't see it. I didn't see it, but I already know that we are going to actually explore like more Mobius's backstory finally, like his pruned timeline or where
Mhm.
he at least came from and what he was doing.
Right, and I think and again, it's almost like I have a sole dedication to what I'm doing, but the same time, yes, I did have a life and I did have a history over there, but then it's like maybe what am I doing? I'm just protecting it, for what I'm doing,
Hmm.
for where I'm at, and I'm okay with that, not knowing my life, whatever. But
Yeah,
uh,
it's almost like in a sense like he's protecting it even if he can't ever enjoy it. It's like
mhm,
make sure that the people any connections that his previous timeline had wherever it was and whatever he was doing, that all can stay alive, even if he never gets to like even if they never know and never say thank you, or if or if he never gets to go back and enjoy that old life. At least he
mhm.
makes sure that that old timeline and those people that he knew back then, whatever he was doing, whatever backstory of his life was, will be alive.
Right. And now I want to go to before we get into big like what WTF moment and stuff. Um, like uh, I want to talk about Ravonna Renslayer because when she did that looking, she had a different type of reaction from Miss Minutes when when she was killing those people, rest of TVA agents.
Hmm.
But my thing is again like she's not siding with um with Victor Timely anymore. And she's basically kind of doing her own thing. She knows that she was being told that her memories were erased. So and that she was the catalyst of the ending of this multiversal war
Mm-hmm.
that had with Kang. Now, again, I'd rather like to see that than talk about it, but with hers now, it's like, what's her path? We now know that she got pruned when the able
Mm-hmm.
to get, the Loki's or Sylvie's ability of magic came back, and then they able to hex
Control
somebody. Yeah,
Control X9 and make him pruner. And we do know that there is a scene where we're going to see her, like we're going to return to the void for the first time since last season, and we'll see her there. Yeah, that I guess that would be. I mean, the only thing we know about Ravona's past is her previous life being a teacher after the events of Infinity War. But like outside of that, again, we only just got that little diorama, like what was it on that little like flashback between her and He Who Remains. Like I feel like when it comes to this multiversal war, if we don't see it here, I'm not sure. Where would you think we would potentially like get to see a flashback of it? Like obviously we'll probably see something in Kang Dynasty, but it's like other than that, like what else could we potentially see something before then?
see, this is the thing that I'm not saying be frustrated about. It's just like, okay, because my it probably gonna be Avengers King Dynasty. At the same time, it's like when we get to that point, it's like we need more. We're gonna need more explanation. So I don't know, like, because for me, we still know what the villain for Fantastic Four. I know people saying Galactus and stuff like that. I don't know how I feel about that. Being that the
Yeah,
first,
no.
um,
I hope he's not the first. Like I don't want it to be Doom either because we already did that twice. Like save Doom for like another thing. I mean, there are other villains. It could be Annihilus. It could be Mole Man. It could be anybody. Just save Galactus and Doom for another time.
yeah, but Fantastic Four is so like tied to uh Kang's, mythology and everything, and even then him being a possible like descendant of Reed Richards. There's also something he might be a descendant of Doctor Doom or whatever, right? But um Fantastic Four has been involved with Kang, at least of his variants, and I'm like, we already seen, you know, uh, variants of him with Ramatut, which they fought Ramatut in the past, in Egypt and in the comics and stuff. So I think, having a period piece Fantastic Four movie set in the past, but like they travel back in past or something like that, and then they're fighting a Kang variant, Ramatut, that would make sense for me. But again, would they go that route, especially going with majors right now? I don't know, but
I
I
mean,
think this.
I guess really that just depends on. I guess it just depends on what story they want to tell for their first MCU Fantastic Four film, and also the state of where Jonathan Majors is. Because just to update some people, we thought it was good, but apparently he's still got to go to court. There are still some things they want to sort out, so it's gonna take a minute. It's gonna take a minute.
Mhm. Yeah, this is gonna be. I mean, it's gonna be a difficult, process and everything. But again, it's like, um, him going them not dismissing like his charge or whatever may not be good as on his part for, at first, but then at the same time they'll go pursue the trial and all that and everything. But again, we just trust the process and all that stuff like that. But the woman got arrested. So, but anyway, but we'll just go from there. But going back to the show and everything, I think that with King Dynasty is just the whole Marvel schedule right now after post strike is in a weird limbo because they're gonna be removing some projects. We are I called it, y'all, that they're gonna be canceling some of these shows and they'll be restructuring what they're doing, which they are now saying we're gonna do more season twos of the shows that we already have done, and go build off of that instead of just throwing all these just random characters and stuff like that, instead of just actually building off the stories that you establish and stuff. So, but again, I think is how my thing is like, what's the end game for Ravonna, because that is a core relation with Kang. That is their love interest, but there was no uh love interest was not emphasized in that though, but that is in the comics because all we know was that was his right hand girl and general of the war of the multiversal war, but it was no sense of romantic relationship. So I don't know if they were ever tried to get to that point. But at this point, they have not done a good job of establishing, hey, this is a romantic relationship. This is just like, hey, I serve you, you didn't treat me right, and then so I'm out. And especially going to Miss Minutes, where like feel like, oh, we're partners in crime. But one thing with Kang, and I guess with all of his variants, even with Victor Timely, they have egos, right? They have egos. So but even then, when Miss Minutes got deactivated, when she said to him, "You'll never be him," right? That's like, again, that's which I guess also foreshadowing what happened, within the episode, because he didn't even get to that point being who he remains and stuff. So um I'm wondering, like, but again, the relation, there's a toxic relationship that's happening here with this minutes and he remains, and the same thing with Ravonna Renslayer. But the point is, now we're getting back to bringing back who's going to be in that chair, who's going to be in that position of running the TVA, and because now after he remains and everything, it just they're left kind of like sitting ducks at the moment, because again, like, Sylvie was on a mission and she did exactly what she said she was going to do, and now we're dealing with the ramifications of that. Um and I'm just wondering, whether if Loki or a pair or trio of them could basically be trying to resolve this. But after this episode, it's like, is everything is gone. So the guys start from ground zero. So we're seeing how originally this TVA was built. Eventually, but again, we don't know her end goal. We know that I believe that Goliath was something that I guess she created or she found. I don't know, but we're going to see the next two episodes. But yeah, but I want to go into the ending of it. So
Did you just say Goliath?
yeah, Goliath.
No,
Is it Goliath?
no.
No, the creature in
Yeah,
in the void.
yeah, that's his name's not Goliath. You're close, but it's not Goliath.
Oh, I know I'm not tripping. Goliath. It's Goliath, but not Goliath. But it's the same.
Not Goliath. No, it's not. No, it's not.
Same mess ninja. It's the same mess ninja. Anyway,
Okay.
I know Goliath. Yeah, no, black man and who grows a mess. I understand. I get it. But we from Ant-Man. I get it. But no, I wasn't wrong. Anyway, so, but yeah, this is the creature here, Goliath, alive. But yeah, so I guess we were trying to see maybe that we're going to see this creature return, and how is Renslayer going to be using this. Therefore, thank you, Marcus. But yeah, so how they're going to be using this, I don't know. But at the end of this episode, we're now seeing that they're going to have this device created by Ouroboros and Victor Timely. Now, I did not like why that little piece from the 1820s is now attached to a futuristic thing from a millennia in the future, and just perfect.
I mean, I get it, but then again, you look at all the TVA's technology, even for like whenever freaking time, like their technology is based off of, and honestly, I'm not surprised.
Yeah. I mean, I was just like, come on, man. But anyway, as we and then when we get there, like, this is the device right here. Oh, let me pull it up though. Apparently,
Yeah, which kind of looks which almost in some senses kind of looks like his time chair from Quantumania.
right, but this is the device right here. Give me 1 second, y'all. Struggle streaming already. Right here. Yeah, this was the device right here. That was that they said they were going to throw in terms of the what. So what was it called? Is it not the sacred timeline that they're throwing it into, or what? Like,
no, so it's still the same machine from episode 1, but basically it was to take all of that raw time that again, the thing was not built to take all that new access energy. So basically, it was going to expand it so that way it could fit all of that into a sacred timeline, into the sacred timeline. I mean, all the branch timelines I think still exist, but like it would smooth all of that chaos energy, all of that chaos timeline into into the sacred timeline. It would expand the thing so that way it could take in much more than it was designed for, which again is only because of Sylvie killing He Who Remains, which he brings up, which Obi is like, yeah, and you destroyed my life's work in that.
Right. And it was just nonchalant, just Ki Kwan doing that. Now, I want to see again what is going to
Sylvie
be
being proud as heck.
right, but I want to see what's going to be direction of like his character, because again, it's like he's a great addition to the show, but I want him to have an arc, and I'm trying to understand what his arc of the show is going to be. And but again, I have to see the next 2 episodes to see that. But
So I guess now is theory time for where these episodes could go.
yeah, theory time. But yeah, so at the end, we're now seeing this, raw time not being expanded to the point now it's being destroyed. All the branches are collapsing on each other, and now we're seeing this bright light, and it's coming, right before our eyes, and now we just cut away. Now, I'm thinking, in my point of view, that they're doing a reset now. Everybody's going back into their original time in a sacred timeline. And where they were. And I think it's gonna be Loki. It's gonna be a situation because we see some shots in previous trailers of Loki time slipping. And I think now, as what we saw that happen to Victor Timely, it's gonna be happening to everywhere. Not just people, but realities and stuff. So, and again, it still was the shock and horror in Tom Hiddleston's eyes and everything, and just kind of just build up to like what is going to be happening in this next few episodes. I do not know. I do not know.
Well, one theory that I have based on just what we know hasn't been shown yet, because as you did say, like there are a lot of shots in the trailers where we saw like the members of the TVA in different times. What I believe what has happened is that the big explosion definitely sent them all back. I wouldn't say maybe necessarily to where they were back in the timeline. Maybe for some of them, I say especially for Mobius that might be the case, but it may be that they're all sent into different points in time. Because like we see Mobius like that, like getting his jet ski on. We see B-15 as like a doctor. I think we see Casey and what looked like I don't know, some weird like prison or some sort, something like that. But like
Yeah.
all of them sent into like different times. And then of course for Sylvie, a scene that we haven't seen yet was her in a record store with everything in there coming undone as well. And of course, as we already said, like, Renslayer in the void, and then that one moment where the TVA itself is coming unraveled with Miss Minutes on the thing saying, thank you for your service, things like that. So I think definitely what's going to happen is that Loki and Sylvie are going to have to go and try and assemble everyone back from their moments where they are in the timeline, get them out of there, bring them back to bring them back to what's left of the TVA, or because I think there is one image that hasn't been shown yet, or they're going to go right back to before, because again, the reason Victor Timely went is because, as Obi said, there was way too much radiation. So potentially they may go back to that's a moment. They may go back to before there was a huge amount of radiation, enough that someone can still walk on that walkway and try and do things differently. What will probably happen is that they'll assemble everyone and they'll try and do things differently or earlier, so that way they can fix everything in the end. That's how I see things going.
Yeah, because I think there might be some creative liberties to this, because like I think it might have been in the mid-season trailer. I know you didn't see it. I do think there's some shots that are just there for the trailer and not in the show. Like for example, I honestly think this is not going to be actually going to be in the show. I think this is just for the trailer, because it kind of the way it came across, like it looked kind of weird. Like, why would you start from scratch? But like the way they're acting is like, okay, we're doing this again. but there's like a little joke that Loki says in this, whoever's outside, about the throw the device and everything like that. I'm like, okay, either this is probably just for the trailer. I can kind of tell build up. Even then, you've seen some voiceover, which I'm thinking is not new, not a new scene. I think it's actually just from previous episodes, like from Miss Minutes. It's saying that I want to show you something, which I think that's her conversation with Renslayer when she's taking her to the Citadel, with he remains corpse and stuff. So yeah, I don't know. I'm just saying I'm paying attention, but I will say, and some of the shots in the next couple episodes are going to be really, really crazy. And again, I think we're also seeing other characters, like Loki himself in different points of of his previous timeline and stuff. So I'm intrigued, like what we're gonna be doing this is a really intense shot here, but it's like from episode one, what's going on? And and then what the based off what the showrunners told us is that the next two episodes are going to be some of the best we have ever seen. Now that's a tall order to fill, but again, it's like we're seeing craziness in some of these shots, and and timelines being proven. We're seeing more spaghetti stuff happening. We don't know what's going on, but it's like it's shot. This is a cinematic, experience, or I think we're going to probably be having in the next two episodes. But I'm all here for it, though.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think that concludes in terms of our review of Loki season 2, episode 4. Now the next episode will be coming on Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. But we'll be making sure on standby when that episode comes out. There still is also a few things before we end the show that we want to cover going on the world movies. Not much is happening right now. It's been kind of slow, which is why like live streams kind of been like nothing really been talked about, because we're also in the final negotiations of the SAG after strike and everything, and now studios are currently back, at negotiation tables and stuff. And as of today, we're still getting, updates on them basically coming to a conclusion, hopefully by the end of this week. And then we can actually get to the bottom of this, and then you expect a whole lot of news, hopefully November, of dates and stuff confirmed, and whether they've been pushed, and whether we can come back to this date, whatever. Deadpool 3. But yeah, and we're so solidarity with SAG after and making sure the negotiation happen now. And I hope that studios, can come to an agreement, because again, if they don't, we'll be having another discussion within 2024. And that's 2 months from now. So, and I don't want to be waiting that long. Neither do you. So, but other than that, there's just a few things that we want to cover, which is what's new with the MCU. And we're back, y'all. So now there was a recent book that came out that what's called The Reign of the Marvel Universe.
No, it's the official timeline of the MCU.
Oh, okay. The official timeline of the MCU, right? And and there were some things that have been revealed from that book that we need to discuss. So if you guys remember, Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, there was a character who had her own show, right? Her name was Wanda, Scarlet Witch, right? And last time we see her basically after she'd gone through her evil train, and now basically want to bring down this fortress that she's built, and we see a blast, like a red blast or whatever, and then we see her disappear. We don't see a body, don't see a corpse or anything. Well, apparently, but they're telling us that actually in this universe, in the Earth 616, as of right now, was named that that Wanda Maximoff is actually dead.
Emotional damage.
Yes, this woman, one I thought had great character development and everything. Apparently, she's dead. Now, I call BS on that. I think it's stupid if she is dead because you basically just got rid of one of your most developed characters and then you kind of just wash her away in one movie, just basically being a villain. And we have Agatha coming out, and we got your son's about to be reincarnated, but nope, you're dead. So I don't know how I feel about this. J King, what do you think?
I mean, I'm hoping one of two things. One, that this is going to be like that typo of years later after Homecoming, and that was put in by mistake. Or two, even if she's quote unquote dead, they're just saying dead for now until she is revived in some sorts. It's almost like how House of M, she was gone, but then returned later during the Children's Crusade when she reunited with Billy and Tommy as young Avengers, basically. I'm hoping it's one of those two things. There's no way that they're going to just kill off the Scarlet Witch when she has so much story to tell. Like, you're not just going to end her story from being a Hydra like experiment to becoming an Avenger to losing everything she loved to kind of gaining that again to kind of last moments of grief within Multiverse of Madness to then her just dying without ever getting to reunite with White Vision or whatever he'll become after White Vision. No, there's no way. Even if she's quote unquote dead, they'll revive her at some point, depending on where it feels correct to bring her back next.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I really hate. I won't say I hate it, but I had strong feelings about Doctor Strange: Multiverse of Madness because it's not one of the worst things Marvel did, but to me, it made me the most frustrated of all the other properties came out because of the missed opportunity they had, and particularly with Wanda's character. Again, I think the fact that we're lacking a lot of direction is also due to the fact we have not seen her in almost a year, about to be two, with her. And now, and also with the whole thing with the X-Men universe coming into play, and the whole another side of her character not being fleshed out and stuff, and the actors eager to want to know what's going on. I think we need a better explanation than saying that she's dead. I don't think she's dead, and I think that there's a reason why they said that. But again, this should be, Wanda should be one of your catalysts, strong characters. I understand that could, because there was also part of that book too that that the original trio after Iron Man, Cap, and Thor was actually going to be, Captain Marvel, Black Panther, and Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
And now Spider-Man, at the time after Endgame, the whole deal with Sony kind of went up in arms and stuff. Chadwick Boseman unfortunately passed away, and then Brie Larson, she's about to say, "Fuck this, I'm out," and because her hate and stuff that she's getting online. But yeah. Now, what did you think about this new trio? Because I thought this was going to be it too, and what it should have been, but obviously changed the plans. But yeah, what do you think?
I mean, I think if like this was the new trio for the MCU, like going forward for like this multiversal. Hold on one second.
Okay, I don't know what just happened. But yeah, we're back. But yeah, I want to talk about that. The original trio was actually going to be Black Panther, Captain Marvel, and Spider-Man. This was stated in the book that came out recently about the Marvel Cinematic Universe and their plans behind after Endgame and everything. And again, I thought this would have been a good trio. And I thought they're very strong characters, but now we had position of Doctor Strange and his film and stuff, and changes had to be made. So there are a lot of decisions that I felt they had to make that now they have to think outside the box about who's going to be their new trio of people to look at. And then at this point, it's basically getting to a point where they're just going to have to bring back everybody for Secret Wars instead of just having uh, having new characters. Now, Spider-Man definitely, but they don't fully all have the rights of Spider-Man. But we do know that Spider-Man 4 is going to be going into production next year. We don't know what a script will probably be still in development of that, but and what entails of that movie. But we know that it's going to be start coming out in 2024 in terms of starting production and be coming out sometime in 2025. But yeah, go ahead, J. King.
Yeah, sorry about that. But basically, what I was saying was, when it comes to what that trio would have been, I think it definitely would have been. They were the best choices, honestly, when it comes to taking over for Thor, Iron Man, and Captain America. That, yeah, if it was focused on them and the circumstances of a lot of things that did end up happening didn't happen, like the rights with Sony and all that going craziness after Far From Home, but then getting kind of resolved around No Way Home, the death of Chadwick Boseman, and then of course Brie Larson. She's about to have the marbles, but we don't know if she's going to stick around after that because the internet loves to point the finger at her of just for existing, which, yeah, that in itself is just sad. Not on her account, but on just the way the internet can be. But it's like if this was the trio, I would have been completely fine with this because it's like, we have that balance of royalty, cosmic, and street level hero, that we kind of sort of had before with the likes of, again, Iron Man, Captain America, and Thor. I feel like they would have been the best thing. Now, in terms of what it could be going forward, Spider-Man definitely. But in terms of anyone else, it might be. I'm just gonna try and think. Maybe Sam Wilson, Captain America, potentially. We'll see. But other than that, the third member of a new trio. The third member. I have no idea. Again, like this would have been the perfect trio if certain circumstances didn't happen. But in terms of now, Spider-Man, I can still definitely see being part of it. Sam, Captain America, I could potentially see. And who knows, maybe Strange, but other than that, I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's like only time will tell with that. That uh, again with the new trios, but I honestly think at this point it just still only need a few people to spearhead this, new last phase, going to phase 5 to phase 6, because we're going to have the soft reboot. Maybe say again, maybe Shang-Chi also too.
I can see
Yeah,
that.
yeah, but again, we need to see him again.
Yeah.
Which I think I honestly thought again Shang-Chi was the best aside from Spider-Man, was one of the best Marvel movies in Phase 4.
hmm
And I actually don't think that film gets enough credit as it should. Um,
Yeah, it really does. It's really underrated. And I mean, we'll definitely see Shang-Chi again. I don't know how fast because Simu Liu is currently going through a Achilles surgery, but other than that, like, you know, which hopefully he's good. But other than that, like, it's just really up in the air when it comes to whoever could be the new leaders or like the new public faces, like the ones that truly represent the MCU in its current age. Which again, I guess also goes back to that whole directionless kind of phase we've been in recently.
Well, yeah, because again, like with that, this new phase, like we also have like teams are retiring. No more saying Guardians of the Galaxy, and even though I know we have a Guardians of the Galaxy team, but it's retired.
hmm
Getting the X-Men, which also having your lead characters going there, and as well as the Fantastic Four, particularly Reed Richards. But so there's a lot of possibilities what they can do with this. But again, I think the problem with the MCU was the fact that they were still lacking some form of direction, and also people we were following. Again, we followed arc with Captain America, we followed arc with Thor, but even then, Thor is an original Avenger founding member, but it's still continuing. They still feel
hmm
Thor is somewhat, distant from all of this. Where with the Infinity Saga, he was heavily involved in that, right?
hmm
Even when it wasn't for his favor, when he was trying to look for the Infinity Stones, and then and he said like, yeah, I tried to find Infinity Stones, didn't find them, but but then we went to Infinity War.
Little did he know he already did before.
Right, exactly. So, but that was it. Aside from that, also we got a report that Daredevil got a new showrunner. Now, the thing about this is that Daredevil they basically canceled all the writers and directors from the show. Now, I think they're probably going to use some footage they already shot, but they're really starting with a clean slate here. But none of these Disney Plus shows have showrunners, really just have directors, someone they follow. Aside from like with WandaVision, there's somebody you were following, right? Who's the guy who can be directing Fantastic Four. But the approach that they're going to be taking now is going to be doing more, having second seasons to these existing shows. But what they were going to do with Daredevils, that they actually got the showrunner from Netflix Punisher. This was just reported from Variety that they got the showrunner. I can't pronounce his name, but the showrunner from the Punisher, the Netflix series, with John Bernthal, which by the way, he's definitely coming back. But they're going to be show running Daredevil, Born Again, which is going to be 18 episodes. So, but yeah, I just want J King. What's your thoughts on this?
I mean, look, when it comes to the whole Daredevil Born Again situation, it's just really a mess at this point. But I mean, if they got the guy who helped with the Netflix Punisher series, maybe we might be okay. It just depends on whatever story they want to tell and what footage that they already filmed that they can still use. Again, we need to know we need to at least have some idea of what the story is. But I'll keep an eye out. But I'll stay neutral until we have some idea.
Yeah, I think again, this is a part where changes is going to happen, but change is good.
Hmm.
And again, this is why I said that this whole strike right now for Marvel or for the studios in general right now, it's going to be in the benefit of Marvel Studios. Like, yes, you might probably be delaying stuff, but you're going to be probably need to do this to restructure things. But the fact that you got to got the showrunner from Netflix Punisher, even though you didn't have the showrunner from the Daredevil shows, which was also when it first doing that, there was a lot of backlash from that, especially from people who were the part of the Netflix Daredevil show
Hmm.
for 3 seasons. They're saying, I don't like what Disney's doing with Daredevil, but then, well, guess what? They just scrapped it. Now they're starting from ground zero, and they're doing getting the dude from Netflix Punisher. So again, if anything, I trust this show
Yeah.
more now than I did before. So, I think this is gonna be fine. I'm not worried about the show, but I already expect there's gonna be delays and everything. But when it comes out, it'll come out. But at this point, again, Comic Con 2024 is gonna be a good one. I'll just say that.
Hmm.
But yeah, guys. So that concludes this show of Gemini 7 Movie Show, and also a review of Loki season 2, episode 4. But I just want to say, Jay, can you have any final thoughts?
Just excited for more Loki. I'm excited to see where this goes. And also, one thing almost forgot to mention, this week, Friday, the return of Invincible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yes.
so yes.
Yeah. So I've seen 3, and when I get off the stream, I'll see the rest of the season. But so we'll do a review. I'll do a review with Team JVS with doing a series review on that. But grab your torch and pitchforks. This is going to be a great. We're as fans, we're going to be getting some good stuff following the going into the holiday season stuff, and hopefully when the strike is over, and we'll know probably later today because on East Coast time,
Hmm.
if what's going on, we can move forward with this, and then we got the Captain Marvel sequels coming out next week. We will be going to see that, and hopefully, again, no rumors and stuff. I'll just take it for face value, not having any expectations. But and we should just go from there, being the last Marvel movie in 2023. So,
Hmm.
but we'll see how that's going to be. Other than that, but this is Jeremiah 7. It's Jay King. Peace, guys. We'll see you guys Saturday. at around 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And until next time, God bless. Peace. We are out.
Is there anything you want the fans to know or any last thing you want to say to them before we get to see this series tonight?
This is where the fun begins.